Awesome. Sweet. So,
Okay.
just to kick things off, what are your names? Where are you guys from? And what do you do that allows you to work remotely?
My name's Jess.
Sweet.
I was living in Salt Lake City, but kind of grew up in Seattle area.
I lived there for a year.
Oh yeah, what part?
Right, 5-minute walk from Pike Market. Belltown.
Okay. So by grew up in Seattle, I mean Woodinville.
Okay.
But people don't know Woodinville, so I say Seattle.
Yeah.
It's like a
all
suburb.
good.
Yeah, it's a suburb. But I've been traveling for about 10 months, 11 months. And I'm a web developer.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm Lindsay Tiger. I'm originally from North Carolina, but I spent the last 7 years in New York City before leaving on our trip. And I'm a travel and lifestyle journalist.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. That was very cool. And what have been some of the high... So I talked to a couple people already, remote here. Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What are some of the highlights you've had in the last 12 months? Just most memorable memories, cool sites, whatever. Anything.
Gosh, hard question.
It's so hard. You want to pick a continent? Jess and I were friends like right from the beginning when we landed, and I think one thing that always stands out to me is our very first Sunday we rented like 5 different boats because at the time we had 58 people, and we were in Croatia, and we decided to just go around all of the different islands and like pack lunches and drink a lot of alcohol, and we just spent the day in the sun and like going to the Blue Cave, and we're going back on this boat heading back towards our home. We were living in split various apartments, and on our left is just this like beautiful moon. It's giant, and like the sun is setting, and then over here there's just like more boats because there's like 5 different boats, and it's like I barely even knew Jess, and I like reached over and I was like, this is a moment, like we're gonna remember this. And we have,
awesome.
or I have, I mean we both have, but that's something that like it was one of those moments where you kind of realize like I made the right choice. This was the right thing to do.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind, speaking of Japan, was there was a day when we were in Kyoto, and a big group of people said, "Oh, why don't we go and see the sunrise?" There's these like bamboo forests. They're actually kind of small and not really worth seeing, but like we thought, oh yeah, we gotta go see them. And so there was a group of like 10 of us, and we got up at 4 a.m. and we rode our bikes like an hour outside of town to go and walk through these forests. And then right next to the forests there was this like monkey sanctuary. So we went and hiked up through the monkey sanctuary, and then all of us had to bike back and make it back in time for like a full work day. And to me that was just the biggest like digital nomad moment. It's like we wake up before the crack of dawn to see the place we're in, and then you get back and you spend 8 hours working just to do it all over the next day.
See, that's a good work-life balance.
That's
solid.
Yeah, it gets tiring after a while. You can't do the 4 a.m. every morning. But yeah, I think that was one that stood out to me. It's just like, okay, just it doesn't always have to be all work or all play. You can make it both.
That sounds perfect. Both those things. That's awesome. Very cool. And what has been your experience like as a digital nomad? Some positive aspects of it, some negative.
Well, I think to Jess's point, like it's been amazing to me how easy the transition has been. I was living in New York. I quit a job to go freelance full time, and it has been easier than what I thought it would be to be freelance. And especially with my line of work, it's been really great to be able to say, "Hey, I'm in Japan for a month. Like, what do you want me to write about? I'm doing these cool things." But more so, how like the kind of control that it gives you over your schedule, like she said, like getting up early and like going and being able to do something before you start work, but more so like I can now write on an airplane, a train, like a boat. Like I have like worked from so many different places, and also and also being very flexible on hours. So like there might be some days where I just take the full day off, and there might be days where I get up at 10 and I work until 9, or there might be days where I get up at 7 and end at 12. It's just being able to have that flexibility has been really nice. And I think if you're in a creative field like I am, it helps to know when you're the most creative and when it's going to like work the best for you, and then you can work during that time and play during the times when you know your mind's going to be off, like when you drink all day on a Sunday and then you don't want to work the next day. The hard part for me has been that I'm never off work.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think the digital nomad landscape is still figuring out, because the definition of work continues to change. But it's one of those, like, we could be, you know, going wine country of Mendoza and Chile, and I still need to check my email. Or I might be climbing Machu Picchu for a day with my mom, and then when we get back to the hotel, even though I got up at 3 a.m., I still have to work when I get back. And so it's figuring out that balance is really difficult, because when you blend work and play, you're always expected to be online.
Gotcha.
And be available.
And with you specifically, you said you're a travel lifestyle writer, journalist.
Yeah.
I mean, have you been like way more inspired than usual?
Oh my
you're
gosh.
Actually traveling?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I always wrote some travel. It was primarily lifestyle before remote year, and now I would say I write primarily travel and then do lifestyle. So it's opened so many doors, and it's made me a better writer and a better traveler, I think. I'm very lucky that I get some fancy experiences along the way. But definitely, I mean, it's one of those where you're in a country, and to have the privilege of telling other people what that's like, it's been an honor over this year.
I need to check that out, because I've been trying to do the travel blog things, but I'm not like a writer by any means. So gonna hopefully get some inspiration from you.
Yeah.
And yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's the balance is the best part, but it's also the worst part. You know, you're never like finished with your work day, even if you go home, even if, you know, and try to balance that. Or the other day we wanted to go play Tejo. Have you played?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I had like a last minute, like really big client that had like a 48-hour turnaround. And so I was just like trying to get everything out, send it to them, quickly go out, play Tejo, come back, and then still work until midnight to try and like make the thing go live. And
she did it.
And I did it. But yeah, the balance can kind of be hard. And I also think, just like from a personal side, people think I'm constantly playing or constantly traveling, and it's like, no, I spend most of my day here at the workspace, and then, you know, sometimes I get to see a little bit. So sometimes it takes kind of justifying what you're doing. People, you know, some people understand, some people don't. But.
And I think that's a misconception, and I think we're partly to blame for it. I mean, we post the most amazing photos of like the things that we're doing, and it's not as glamorous for me. Like normally, if I'm doing something cool, I'm going to Instagram story like every 5 seconds, and then today I've done 0 because I've just been working all day. And I think it's hard to. I try sometimes, and I know you try sometimes too. It's like to illustrate what it's like, and like those real like Facebook posts that say like, yeah, I'm in this beautiful city and I've had food poisoning for 2 days and I have no idea what it looks like, and like I'm tired, you know? And so it's hard to say what it's really like, and I think people get a misconception of that we're just constantly doing these amazing things, which we are, but like to pay for those amazing things, you have to work.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always see like, you know, the bright side of everything when you're traveling, and that's what everyone else sees, but there are like, you know, low points or like chill moments, like it's not always constant fun all the time. Honestly, I get tired of it. Like, if you're always doing something, I'm like, oh, I need to chill for a week. I love it, but I need to chill.
And that can be hard too. Like, if you spend your whole week just like working, and then your evenings trying to see stuff. Yeah. And then the guilt you feel if you spend your weekend, you're like, I'm not getting out of bed. I'm watching Netflix all weekend, and I'm rapping and that, like, the guilt for that kind of sucks. But.
I remember before I was coming on remote year, I like obsessively followed anyone I could find on Instagram who was on remote year, and just like was watching their stories and like, you know, following them. What are they doing? And I had posted some Instagram story where I had said, with like a picture of like me with like a green face mask on and like watching Netflix, and I was like, things I'm gonna miss doing on remote year, right? Like watching Netflix, drinking wine, and having a face mask. And I remember this girl who I forget, I think she's in Libertated, I'm not sure, in one of the remote year groups. She responded, she's like, girl, I'm watching Netflix right now and I got a face mask. Like, don't do it. And I didn't believe her. And like for the first couple of months, like we did it. I mean, we were go. And then you got into a group, and so I did a face mask.
And now we're tired.
Last week. And now we're tired. Yeah, now we're really tired. Yeah, we're coming up on month 11, so it's been...
That's a while.
Long time.
Wow. Are there any places, I assume that there's some places you wish you were only there for a week, some that you were there for a couple months. Where are some places you wish you were there longer?
Lima, Peru. That was our last month.
Yeah.
And we were there for 4 weeks.
Isn't it like California, by the way?
It is
like a nice
beautiful.
San Diego. Looks like San Diego.
The cliffs and just the beach. It was just, I loved it. I would have spent like 2 months there happily. And just also Peru in general. We did a lot more sightseeing last month. And there was just so much to see. So
I would also say ditto to Lima, but I would also really love to go back to Chiang Mai, Thailand. I adored it. It's definitely a digital nomad community, but it was just the food is incredible. You can go hiking. You can go to the islands and it's super cheap. You can go hang out with elephants. There's just so much to do.
Did you get your tattoo?
Actually, I got my tattoo a while ago,
Okay.
but I was very excited.
We, along with one of our other good friends in the program, we took Jess for her birthday to the Elephant Nature Park.
Ooh.
So that was her. She loves that. If you can tell, she loves
Yeah.
elephants.
Yeah.
My Facebook pictures with the elephant in Chiang Mai.
Oh, yeah?
As sanctuary, good place.
Yeah, that's where we went. We were in the Elephant Nature Park. Or Elephant Nature.
Yeah, it was the...
Elephant Nature
I
Sanctuary.
think it was... No, ours was the park.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was... I don't know. There's a couple of them.
But there was a baby elephant that we got to cuddle with, and it was
So fun.
They're awesome.
Chiang Mai and also Prague. It was still like month 2, and it was my birthday month, so maybe I'm like a little like skewed on it, but I just love Prague, and I loved how it was so accessible to everything. I went to like 4 different countries that month, and I don't know, we loved our workspace there, and it was just a really happy time. So I'd like to go back to Prague.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And co-working is like a big deal for you guys. You spend a bunch of time here. What would your perfect co-working space be?
She talked about the Prague co-working space, and that one was really great. It was a old embassy that was turned into a co-working space, and there was still some negative aspects to it, but it had this beautiful outside garden that had plugs all throughout, so you could work anywhere in the garden.
And they had blankets that you could like go lie on.
Wow.
Yeah.
It could have used more like rooms or call booths and things, but that garden was really nice. It had a kitchen that had like really cheap food you could buy, or like lunch you could order. Good Wi-Fi is kind of the main thing.
And natural light. What was the workspace that we had? The one in Buenos Aires that we had didn't have a lot of.
I like the one in BA.
The one, maybe I didn't think it had a lot of it. And then the one in Lima, there's only one room that had natural light. We didn't like that one. I think for me, it's like I like to have a comfy. If you ask anyone in the program, like I find my spot and I stick with it for the month. Like I scope it out, I figure it out. And so like having some kind of comfort, but also like flexibility. Like I like to sit Indian style. Like I like to, like take off my shoes sometimes, and like just being able to get comfortable. And in Japan, you can't take off your shoes, you can't have your feet up, you have to, you can't have certain foods, and so there's a lot of rules. And I think I understand why they do it, and it's also just the culture of Japan. But having flexibility and being able to just kind of come as you are, even in Lima, they wanted us to dress nicely. You couldn't just come in workout clothes, and so having that kind of flexible is really nice. And then food. I think what made K10 so amazing was that was in Prague, is you could actually, they had a chef in the kitchen, so you could just put in your order for lunch and it would just arrive, and so you never had to worry about takeout or where you're going to go and get lunch in the middle of the day. But that's a luxury. That's been the only place that's had food. It was just, and this is nice because they have some too.
What are your thoughts on this place?
I really like it.
Pluses, any room for improvement?
No, I really like it. We spend most of our time in that section. It's not so much this section. I guess we are on remote year. The biggest pain point is always call rooms. There's, especially when everyone's in one space, everyone's always looking for a call room, because just as digital nomads, so much of our job is calling the States or having client calls or what have you. So it's nice that this one has 3, but it seems like people still want more. I like it. Yeah.
No, I really like this workspace, especially coming from last month. We tended to work from home a lot, because if I don't like a workspace, I'll just try and figure out if I can work from home or go to a coffee shop or something. So it's been nice to have a routine, and I think that's something that people forget is even when you're traveling, having some sort of routine is nice. I try and go to bed around the same time. I try and get up around the same time. I mean, of course, there's, throw a wrench into it when there's like a last minute flight deal when you go to Cartagena. But I mean, for the majority of the time, it's nice to know you're coming to a place and you know where you're going to sit and I'm going to get my coffee and this is going to be my routine.
Awesome. And, you guys are really cool. Everyone I've talked to so far, really cool. What are some like the most interesting people you've met like through your program and your travels?
Ooh. For me, the biggest thing has just been finding other people that love travel as much as I do, especially living in Salt Lake right before remote year, which is ultimately the reason I came on remote year, because I was just not meeting anyone that had the same interests in me like as I do. So coming on this program and finding people that you'll just be chatting and you'll know them for a month and then they'll be like, oh yeah, that time that I lived in Thailand, and you're just like, when did you live in Thailand? Or people that are just as like eager as you to just be like, oh yeah, let's just book a ticket to South Africa. Like, why not?
We're going
it's
in
cheap.
October. Yeah.
So that for me was the best part about this trip, has been finding people that like to do the same things.
I would say ditto to all those things. I have a lot of friends back in the States, but none that would really travel with me. My mom actually was like my travel buddy. I mean, my mom and I have been like 6 countries together.
Wow.
She's 57 and full of life, and I love that, but I didn't have a lot of friends who would just go. So it was really nice to now have, hopefully, a good 30 people that if I'm like, oh, I'm in your city, like I could crash on your couch, or probably a good 5 that I would say, let's go on a trip together. But I mean, I'm really lucky that I get to write about people and about stories, and there's been some amazing people that I've met along the way. To name a few, like there's a woman in Croatia who is helping to improve the tourism industry because the Croatian government is taking advantage of the uptick in tourism, and it's kind of at the detriment of locals. And so she's created something called the Island Movement, and that binds together all the different islands that actually have people living on them. And so it extends their tourism even in the down season, and kind of is like a union, if you will, for the islands. I wrote an article where I got to eat in the home of a local in 4 different countries. So in Morocco, Portugal, Hungary, and Japan. So, I mean, when we were in Japan, Jess came along with one of our other friends, and we just talked about dating with these, like, girls who were, like, single girls in their home. We're just, like, all talking about our dating experiences, and, like, that was amazing. When we were in Thailand, we hiked through this amazing old tribe, I guess, what was it, like, community or whatnot, but up in the hills, and, like, there was a woman there who didn't even know how old she was. She couldn't see. She was kind of like the mother of the area, probably like in her 90s.
Wow.
And she just wanted to touch your face. And so, like, I just sat with her and just let her touch my face. And it was just, it's those kind of experiences where, like, you just see humanity in such a different way. I loved my tour guide at Machu Picchu. She was, like, also my age, takes care of her sister, loves her job, is worried about the Peruvian government changing the Machu Picchu laws. So I think the biggest thing for traveling with me is it's really created a different definition of happiness and how it's so relative depending on where you go. And that people are people. Like, people hate dating in Japan, they hate in Portugal. You know, like, age is means something different wherever you are. Sometimes it's amazing to be wrinkled and to have all this, and then other parts of the world it's not. So as from a personal perspective, that's been very comforting to me, to just know that we're kind of like all in this together.
Yeah, I remember I went to the Philippines for a month in December, or a couple weeks in December, and we were on this island, Coron, which is like somewhat touristy, but not as touristy.
Is that the party island?
No, it's so there's like before. Palawan, which has all of the like big lagoons, small lagoon, like beautiful spots to go, and then an island just up north has a couple other places to go. But we went there, and we were walking around one evening, and we found this big like Christmas festival, and it had all of the local schools from the islands. The little kids were performing like a song and a dance, and we walk in, and we're the only white people in like anywhere, like none of just no tourists were out. And we had all of the kids just like run up to us and start like touching our hair, touching your face, just saying, "You're so beautiful. Like, do you like our island? Do you like our city?
Wow.
Do you like our
That's
are
awesome.
you gonna go do this? And they were just like 9, 8 years old, and some of them spoke English and kind of translated for the other ones. And experiences like that are what make the entire thing worth it, you know.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. And let's say you guys had some friends that had the ability to work remotely. Would you recommend, well, first off, let's say they were on the fence of doing a program like Remote Year. What would you tell them? Second off, would you recommend it?
Yes and yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been the best year of my life.
Okay.
I mean, hands down. And it's one of those, like, when I think back on ever questioning if I would go, I don't even know why I ever questioned it. I mean, there's definitely highs and lows. I definitely don't want to do this for the rest of my life, but it is life-changing, and life and career and love and everything changing that I think everyone, if they have the opportunity, should definitely do.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, do it.
Awesome. Any last minute questions? Can you guys think of a question that I could ask you guys? Something clever.
Let's see.
You're the journalist, but
I know. What would I ask? What you wish you would have known before you went?
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn the table.
Too much out of order.
Well, what I wish I would have known is, like, I worried about so many things before I came on this. I worried about, like, you know, having the right clothes that I was going to wear, and, like, worried about having, like, certain, you know, makeup products and beauty products, and I worried about, like, making friends and, like, all of these things that are normal, right? Like, you're leaving your life to come on this adventure, and how little it just matters. It's like we've been wearing these clothes for 10 months. It doesn't matter. Like, if I run out of deodorant, I'll figure it out. Like, and it's all those things that you think are just going to be such, like, a big hurdle. Like, oh, it's going to be in Japan. I'm not going to be able to read anything. And it's like, it looks edible. I'll eat it. Like, it's those things that I wish I wouldn't have had any stress over. And I would have packed so much lighter, I think, and I would have just replaced my clothes along the way. Now we are replacing our clothes along the way, but I worried so much about what to bring, and it just did not matter.
I think for me, more so right before I left, or like not right before I left, I thought about it for a long time, like back and forth. Oh, should I quit my job? Shouldn't I quit my job? And then I had people telling me it would be stupid to quit my job, and I wish I had just like been like, no, I'm going. You know, not stressed about it for the time I did.
Do people think you're crazy for doing this thing?
Well, my grandmother thinks I'm a lesbian.
That's
So did the Uber driver.
Yeah, so they were now, but no, my grandma was like, "Oh, you want to go travel the world? You haven't even met your husband yet. Like, why'd you move to New York?" She's like very southern, Baptist grandma. But other than my grandma, everyone was incredibly supportive. I wrote about this once, but before I left, I told my friend Kate, I was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna gain weight. Like, I can't work out 5 days a week. I can't eat healthy." And she was like, and my favorite thing she ever said to me, she's like, "Are you really gonna give up the opportunity to travel the world for a year to be a size 4?" Like, and I was like, no, I'm not. So yeah, and everyone else is like super supportive of it. So no, I don't think they think I'm crazy. I think they're ready for me to come back. I keep getting a lot of questions like, "So when are you coming back? And like, where are you gonna live?" And I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I don't know where I want to go. That's why we're extending our trip for another 5 months. So
Wow. Yeah,
we're finished around the start of November.
Wow.
Yeah, so there'll be about a year and almost a year and a half
That's
of travel. Yeah.
Very cool. Were you crazy?
I mean, I don't think like my boss understood when I quit. I think they were like, "What? You're," you know, my boss had 8 kids or something like that, and
Gosh.
I had this great career.
Oh, Utah.
Yeah, Utah.
Okay. Makes sense.
And I think he thought I was kind of giving it all up to just go party.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking my dad, and my dad said, "Don't go,"
Mm-hmm.
because he was like worried about job stability and stuff. And But now, like, he's my 100% biggest supporter. Like, keep going. But other than that, I don't think anyone else. If they do think I'm crazy, they don't tell me.
Yeah.
They might.
They probably are tired of our photos.
Yeah, they probably just unfriended me.
Yeah, because
Sure.
it's the way you just like see stuff.
I do worry about that. I'm
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
Well, oftentimes my friends will say, "Where are you today?" And I'm like, "I'm still in the same country, here for a month."
Or you're like, I don't know.
or sometimes you,
when you wake up and you're just like, I'm in.
We joke, or I joke that there's so many times where I wake up and I'm like in my pajamas, or like not my pajamas, and I'm just like wake up in a dark place and I look around and I'm like, oh, okay, my friends are here, so I'm probably fine. Like it's just and you're like, where am I? Like especially after long transition days, you wake up and you're like, where are we?
Or not so much since we've been in South America now for 4 months, so it's not as bad because it's all Spanish. But when we were in Asia, that would have been like 6 languages, and every single one you're trying to learn hello, goodbye, and when you're trying to speak to a waiter and you're like, arigato, yeah, you're just like everything, and or the money you start paying, and they're like, none of this currency is ours.
Yeah, absolutely. When we got to BA, we were coming from Thailand, and like in Japan, they definitely bow, and then in Thailand they do like a little bow, and so we would be at the grocery store, and then we just like we don't bow here, we just say gracias, okay? Like, you get so much stuff, yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So you're just interviewing people around South America?